you have any suggestions for how siblings can honor their loved one's memory or keep their loved one's memory alive, but in a healthy way? And that's, you just kind of answered that, really. But is there anything you want to add to that?
Well, I think that for everyone that's going to look different. So maybe they really like to ride bikes and motorcycles, or maybe they really like to do art and to paint. Maybe they really like to do this or that, and you decide to at least, show some kind of interest in that to honor them. Sure, like you can do that. I would caution, don't make that your new identity, because you're not just a newer version of the one that you lost. So don't get kind of caught in that, because I've also seen that where people lose somebody and they basically try to become them.
They take on that person's
to keep their memory
dreams.
alive. That's not what God wanted. God has a calling for each of us. I will say that after we lost Jacob, that is what kind of prompted me to go back to school and to become a teacher. But that wasn't the only thing. It was just one of the few things that kind of pointed me in that direction. So you can use that to a decision, but just make sure that you're following God's will for your own life. God doesn't want you to become who they were. God wants you to become who He has for you to be. But but if found a common interest, and that would go to help you remember them, or if you want to go to the grave and you have set time every month, whatever it may be, and you want to go there, because some do that, go to the grave and they kind of give their loved ones updates on their life, and in your mind logically you know that they're not there, and they're not going to hear you. But it just helps me. That's also, that's fine too. So find whatever helps you to basically keep their memory alive while still living your life and finding God's will for you.
I know one of the things that we've talked about since you're a dad now is how one of the ways that you are going to keep Jacob's memory and legacy alive in our family is you've voiced that as your children grow up, they will know that they have an Uncle Jacob, and that you will share stories and stuff. And I look forward to them. I'm going to say them because I'm sure Olivia's going to have some siblings herself.
That's the plan.
I look forward to sharing stories like about Jacob cutting the pool and, some of those fun stories that we have. But I also harken back to what you said earlier, is that we don't want to put Jacob on this pedestal. We'll make sure that we share the honesty, but he is a part of this family. And I know that that's one thing as a parent. Sometimes people can be afraid to say Jacob's name or bring him up. In fact, I was just talking to your dad, and I both were just talking to another couple recently who were very frustrated. They were coming up on an pretty significant anniversary, and like nobody in their life was even acting like they were aware of it. And your dad was the one who said sometimes you have to be the one to just put it out there, because sometimes they're thinking it but they don't want to hurt your feelings, or like they're, who knows what's going on in somebody else's mind. They could very well be like, she seems okay. Maybe she's not even realizing the anniversary's coming up. I don't want to be the one to burst that bubble. They could, who knows what they're thinking. So Dad was saying sometimes we have to be willing to say, hey, it's okay to talk about Jacob. In fact, I really like,
Yeah, and also, every year when that anniversary's coming up, some people who aren't directly impacted by it, and I think that the farther you get out, the less people, remember if they weren't directly impacted by it. And so you can either choose to be resentful over that, or you can choose to be gracious and just kind of be like, okay, I get it from their perspective. It doesn't impact them the same way that it still does us. And that's just, just a natural part of it. So if you go into it just having that kind of mindset, then it kind of heads off any resentment, bitterness, frustration that may be forming or might form in the future, Just
your dad says it as we always have a choice. We can allow it to make us bitter or better. That we have that choice to let it fester or to process it in a healthy way.